Namaste. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the India Habitat Center, Art Vision, and Cree Foundation, I welcome you to the first of the 3-day immersion into the Geet Govind via multiple arts, but through the route of 3 Ashtapadis. This occasion is to mark 25 years of the lovely, interesting journey of Art Vision, glimpses of which you have already seen in the opening montage. Believing that the way forward is through collaborations, India Habitat Center and Cree Foundation were happy to come together with Art Vision to present this 3-day immersion in the multiple arts. We will begin this program today by first inviting the scholar who will talk about the philosophical and literary value of this 12th century Bhakti poem, Geet Govind, which has inspired music across India, which has inspired so many of the classical dance forms, and which has also inspired a huge range of visual art. It gives me great pleasure to welcome on our program today, Professor Dr. Raghunath Panda, retired professor of Sanskrit at the Utkal University, Bhubaneswar, and currently Professor Emeritus at the Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, a deemed university. Formerly a member of the syndicate of Sri Jagannath Sanskrit University, Puri, Professor Dr. Raghunath Panda is a highly accomplished scholar with many books to his credit and over 20 PhDs that he has guided as a scholar. Recipient of the Nalko Kalidas Award and the Sahitya Bhushan Award of Odisha, his special interest has been in Odisha's contribution to Sanskrit lyrics, which makes him a perfect choice for this theme. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Dr. Raghunath Panda. Sir.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this cultural and interesting, entertaining show of Art Vision and Cultural Habitat Center of New Delhi, and many adorable artists who are present today. Our program today will be based on the greatest love lyric of India, Jayadeva's Geeta Govinda. Jayadeva emerged in the 12th century in the Sri Kshetra Puri and composed his Geeta Govinda basing on the Radha Krishna theme because he was a Vaishnavite by his worship. The Lord Jagannath liked the songs and the dance on Geeta Govinda so much that it continued to be sung in his bedtime. The particular song is Srita Kamala Kucha Mandala Dhruta Kundala Kalita Lalita Vanamala Jaya Jayadeva Hari. In 1500, 8th July, King Prataparudradeva promulgated an ordinance by an inscription on the Joy Vijaya gate of the temple that let this song be sung at the bedtime of Lord Jagannath every day uninterruptedly, and had made arrangements for that. Why so much it was liked by the God and the people and the devotees together? Because it represented Krishna, the Supreme Self, or the Paramatman himself, who has taken his birth in the Dwapara era, Dwapara Yuga, and Radha was his consort, was his Radhini Shakti, and he is the representative of the Jivatman. Now, the 12 sargas in Geeta Govinda are known as, the first one is Samoda Damodara or Joyful Krishna. The second one is Aklesha Kesava or Careless Krishna. The third one is Mugdha Madhusudana. where Madhusudan or Krishna, who has been very much bewildered by Krishna, by Radha. Snigdha Madhusudana is the fourth title or the fourth canto, and the translation of it is Loving Krishna. The fifth canto is Sakankha Pundarikaksha, or the lotus-eyed Krishna longing for love. Sakankha Pundarikaksha. Again, in the sixth canto, continues by the name of Sotkantha Vaikuntha. Sotkantha Vaikuntha is indolent Krishna or anxious Krishna. Nagara Narayana is the title of the seventh song, the seventh canto, which means the cunning Krishna. And in the eighth canto, the canto is named as Bilaksha Lakshmipati. Bilaksha Lakshmipati is translated as abashed or ashamed Krishna. And the ninth canto is Mugdha Mukunda, or languishing Krishna. The 10th canto is Chatura Chaturbhuja, which means Krishna with the four quickening hands or the arms. The 11th canto is Sananda Govinda, that means the blissful Krishna or the protector of the earth. The 12th canto, which is the last canto, the canto is named as Suprita Pitambara. Suprita Pitambara, that means the satisfied, the yellow-robed one. As everybody knows, Krishna likes the yellow robes because Radha's body composition resembles the yellow-colored gold, and Krishna's composition is a dark one. Therefore, Radha wears the dark color or the blue saris, and Krishna wears the golden color or yellow-robed attires. Therefore, now coming to the present context, the fifth canto is our subject of description here. There, in the 11th song, the Radha and Krishna, they wait for each other for rendezvous on the bank of Jamuna. And in this context, Krishna instructs the female messenger who returns to Radha and narrates Krishna's eagerness for the coveted union of her. Now the messenger instructs very carefully and sincerely that proceed to the venue of secret meeting on the lonely, pleasant bank of river Jamuna, where cool breeze is blowing. In the poet's diction, he writes, Rati sukha sare gatam abhisare madana manohara besam nakuru nitambini gamana bilambana manusaratam hrudayesam dhira samire jamuna tire basati bane banamali pina payodhara parisara mardana chanchala kara jugasali. So in English we can say the meaning of the verse is, well, Radha, now Krishna is putting on the beautiful garland of the forest flowers and has gone to the secret place of making love in Abhisara or rendezvous to have the pleasure of union. Hence, O possessor of the huge hips, don't be idle. Follow the Lord of your heart, because Hedayang Nasyati Karjam. If you become late, you may lose him. What are his extra qualities? He is very well possessor. He is very well possessor of the pair of hands which are adept in manipulating the circumference of the plum bosoms of the gopis. Then comes the second pada, where the poet sings, Nama sametam kruta sanketam Badayate mrudubenum bahumanute tanute tanu sangata pavana charita mapirenum dhira samire yamuna tire basati bane banamali, and so on. The ghosta or the hiatus or the refrain continues, to which we can say in English is by taking your name, he indicates to you to proceed to the proceed faster, as he is unable to bear the waiting long for you. Sweetly and softly, he is playing on his flute. This is the words of the messenger to Radha, who happens to be her own companion. And says, thus the woods in the cool breeze swept Jamuna bank, Krishna waits with wildflower garlands. The ghosa or the hiatus of the all the songs must be the same. This is an Ashtapade and it is the same in the 8 padas. The third pada appears patati patatre vichalati patre sankita bhavadupajanam rachayati sayanam sachakita nayanam pasyati tava panthanam dhira samire yamuna tire basati bane banamali pinapayodhara parisaramardana chanchalakara yugasali. Now, the evening having approached, the messenger continues to describe the love-lorn conditions of Krishna in this third pada or stanza. In this condition, when a dropping of the feather of a bird causes a sound, or the dry leaves of the trees are blown by the wind, a little sound is caused. As such, Krishna expecting every moment that you might have come, and your sound of the steps is heard as if approaching near. He prepares a bed of love anxiously and looks your path in the woods, in the forest. That means on the cool breeze swept Yamuna bank, Krishna waits, putting in wild flower garland on his body. Then the fourth pada is like this, which in its introduction it can be told, during the union, how ornaments like anklet are disturbing. On it advises the companion to Radha, because Radha is Abhisarika. What is the conditions or the definition of Abhisarika according to the Shastras? Bharata Snatya Shastra, and aptly followed by Vishwanath in his Sahitya Darpana, tells that Abhisarayate kantam ja manmatha vasambada swayam babhisaret esa sa bhavatya abhisarika. A Naika or a heroine who gives indication to the Nayaka or the hero to be available to her or both each other at a place, at a secret place, the whole of the affairs is known as Abhisara. So, Abhisarayate kantam ja manmatha vasambada, being impelled by the influence of Cupid, the heroine who arranges is known as Abhisarika. Swayam Babhisarit, even if she can proceed herself to the place of indication, then she is Abhisarika, called as Abhisarika. Now, see, the companion continues, oh darling Radha, leave your noisy anklets, which are like enemies in a love game. Now, oh dear one, proceed to the bower. Bower means kunja in Indian language, a house-like secluded place naturally made in the groves, situated on the dark thicket. Put on black or blue attire. This is the dress of an Abhisarika, moving for rendezvous of hers in Abhisara in the dark nights of the autumn or the spring season, wherever it has been used in case of Radha's and Krishna's union. The hiatus is the same. The woods of the cool breeze swept Jamuna bank, Krishna waits, putting on the wild flowers garland. Therefore, with this third pada, after the third pada, at the end, the poet gives a bhaniti or a self note like this: Sri Jayadeva Kruta Harisebe Bhanati Parama Ramaniyam Pramudita Hrudayam Harimati Sadayam Namata Sukruta Kamaniyam. While Jayadeva says this enticing song, while worshipping Hari, bow down to him, O devotees, as your virtuous deeds mature. Your heart, whose heart is gentle and joyful to receive your prayer. Therefore, the philosophy behind this poem is that, along with uh, beautiful songs, a entertaining atmosphere, Jayadeva depicts the love story, which is all portrayed in Srungara Rasa, or the erotic sentiment. And among the divisions of erotic sentiments, here we see the Vipralambha Srungara, because the Naika and the Nayak, or the heroine and the hero, they do not get in close each other. Rather, they are separated by certain conditions, and they will be, when they will be meeting, it is still unknown in the Kavya. Let us wait for the further scenes, and I wish the the Vyavasthapakas or the arrangers will make the subject matter forward. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Professor Panda. It has been really enlightening to hear you speak and frankly sing the Ashtapadis in the ragas that they were meant to be sung. And you referred to you sang this as it is structured in Basant. And it is an interesting fact that in the international spread of Geet Govind in the larger Indian South Asian region, in Nepal, within a century of this poem coming out and being written by Jayadeva, in Nepal, it used to be sung to celebrate spring, and interestingly, in the honor of Saraswati. So you see, we have layers and layers and different meanings that we draw from this same inspirational piece of poetry. Probably no other poem in India is as powerful and as pan-Indian in its footprint as the Geet Govind. It described, as you rightly said, the Ashtanaikas beautifully, the states of the Naika, the moods of the Naika, the very elements on which dance can be built, layered, nuanced, and sort of imbricated. And to prove that point, we have our next presenter, none other than Dr. Ileana Chittaristi, a renowned dancer of Odissi and Chow. Although Ileana is of Italian origin, since 1979, she has made India her home and today lives, teaches, dances, choreographs, performs, and does her research-based writing in Bhubaneswar, where 25 years ago, she set up the Art Vision Foundation. Ileana has documented her very interesting journey in autobiography, which she brought out in 2016, called My Journey, A Tale of Two Births. This is her third book, her first being The Making of a Guru, a biography of a guru, Kelucharan Mahapatra, Life and Times. She has also written on traditional martial practices in Odisha because she is a trained and very accomplished Chow dancer herself. Her new book is on the rituals associated with the Jagannath temple. As far as her dance work is concerned, Ileana, when it comes to her traditional learning, stays within the ambit of the teachings of her guru. But for her new choreographies, she takes the ideas forward. She embraces modern themes, rare moments in spiritual wisdom of India, and also engages other related arts like martial arts. Malcolm work has been quite remarkable. I am so delighted to be associated once again with Ileana because we share a very special moment of togetherness, which is in the form of the dance and the camera initiatives that we both have been pushing from almost 18 years, pretty much together, for which I'm very grateful to Ileana for opening up this wonderful world. And now I invite her to make her presentation before showing us the danced Ashtapadi. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ileana Chittoristi.
Thank you, Arsha, and hello to everybody. I will just quickly introduce a little bit the Ashtapadi I'm going to present. It was this Ashtapadi, the 11th song, Dira Samire Yamuna Tire, was first composed by Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra in the year 1967 on the occasion of a dance seminar, a dance and music seminar on poet Jayadeva, which was organized jointly by Sangeet Natak Academy and Lalit Kala Academy. And it was including works on music, dance, and painting inspired by the Geeta Govinda. Scholars and dancers from all classical styles were invited to present their presentation. And Kalicharan Patnaik, a very renowned scholar from one of the pioneers of the promotion of the Odissi dance, was invited to read the paper, and Guru Kalucharan Mohapatra was supposed to compose certain Ashtapadi to present during the seminar. So in this occasion, this particular one has been composed and presented for the first time by Kumkum Mohanty, one of the senior most student of Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra, in the evening during the seminar in March 1967. Just a little bit anecdote is that due to some adverse remarks which came out in the paper the next day by Srimati Rukmini Devi, who was not agreeing with the presentation of lyrics with the erotic theme in the classical dance. There were some adverse remarks, and so Suresh Avasti, who was the secretary of the time Sangeet Natak Academy, invited the next day Guruji to present himself the Ashtapadi for an invited audience. So Guruji presented the few stanzas of the Dasavatar and again Dira Samire. So that it can be considered the first demonstration, the first public demonstration of Guru Kelucharan Mohapatra of Geeta Govinda. So, and followed by so many others for which he became legendary. But this particular Ashtapadi was his first time, the first time that he was performing in front of an audience in 1967. So this I wanted just to remark. This particular version which I'm presenting is exactly the one which Guruji taught us in the beginning of the 80s, with the musical score which Guruji used for teaching us. The recording has been done only, the recording of this, the Ashtapadis has been done only a couple of months ago, the video recording. But the composition is the old one, this original one. So it is in Raga Kalyan and Tala Ektali. And so I can ask now to proceed with the video. Thank you.
सारे रति सुख सारे गतम भिसारे मदन मनोहर वेशम रति सुख सारे गतम भिसारे मदन मनोहर वेशम न कुरुनितं विने गमन विलम्बन न कुरुनितं विने गमन विलम्बन न कुरुनितं विने गमन विलम्बन न कुरु नितं विने गमन विलम्बन न कुरु नितं विने गमन विलम्बन न कुरु नितं विने गमन विलम्बन मनुसर तं हृदयेशं मनुसर तं हृदयेशं धीर समीरे यमुना तीरे 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 वसति वने वनमाली वसति वने वनमाली नाम समेतं कृतसंकेतं यमुना तीरे धीर समीरे यमुना तीरे वसति वने वनमाली वसति वने पतति पतत्रे विचलित पत्रे शङ्कित भवदुभयानम् पतति पतत्रे विचलित पत्रे शङ्कित भवदुभयानम् पतति पतत्रे पतति पतत्रे विचलित पत्रे शङ्कित भवदुभयानम् पतति पतत्रे विचलित पत्रे शङ्कित भवदुभयानम् रचयति शयनम् सचकितनयनम् 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 पश्यति तव पन्थानम् रचयति शयनम् सचकितनयनम् रचयति शयनम् सचकितनयनम् पश्यति तव पन्थानम् धीर समीरे यमुना तीरे धीर समीरे यमुना तीरे वसति वने वनमाली वसति वने वनमाली मुखरमधीरम् तेजमञ्जीरम् रिपुमिव केलिसुलोलम् मुखरमधीरम् तेजमञ्जीरम् सखी कुंजा सती मीरा पुंजा चल सखी कुंजा सती मीरा पुंजा शीलय नील निचोलम शीलय नील निचोलम धीर समीरे यमुना तीरे धीर समीरे यमुना तीरे वसति वने वनमाली वसति वने
Thank you very much for that absolutely wonderful presentation. I think there is an evergreen quality to this composition. Thank you, Eliana, for doing a fresh recording, but sticking to the original choreography. It is so complete in every way. It's truly, truly interesting. So I have been watching Eliana for 35 years. I actually did a little calculation while she was performing, and we have been friends for those many years. And I think that that is one of the reasons. I won't say that familiarity breeds contempt, but familiarity sometimes takes a few things for granted. And one of those is that while doing the introduction to Eliana, I did not mention two very important achievements of hers. One is that she is a recipient of the Padma Shri Award, and the other is that she is a recipient of the National Film Award for choreography for Yuganta, the film that she did, which had Aparna Sen as its director. Ladies and gentlemen, I sent a message to all of you that please put in your questions into the chat box. I hope you've seen it and plan to put in your questions. We have three main speakers in today's presentation. At the end of the final speaker, which is Dr. Alka Pandey, who I think you have already seen joining us in this panel, we will take up the questions. But for the moment, it is my privilege to introduce a dear friend from way too many years, but dear from the heart and very respectful of work, also an inspiration at many levels. This art historian taught Indian arts and aesthetics at Punjab University for 10 years, which is why probably she can talk in this very logical manner, step by step virtually, making us all understand the point that she is making. Her enduring interest has been on gender, identity, and sexuality in traditional arts. Under the Charles Wallace India Trust, she conducted her postdoctoral research at the Goldsmiths College at University of London. In 2006, she was a recipient of the Knight of the Order of Arts and Letters, which, as you know, is the French government's recognition for significant contributions in the field of art and literature. This was followed in 2009 by the Australian Indian Council Special Award. And in 2015, the Amrita Shergill Samman presented by the Chandigarh Lalit Kala Academy. These are just some of the many awards that she has received. She is an artistic director of Habitat's Photosphere, the prestigious Photography Biennale, and the project director of the first ever Museum Biennale in India, which is the Bihar Museum Biennale. An internationally renowned curator, she is consultant with an art advisor as well as curator with the Visual Arts Gallery of India Habitat Center. Let me tell you, she's also a very prolific writer and has written no less than 16 books, and I may be wrong in my count, but one thing that strikes me is that she can manage a book every year, and it's really remarkable. But I think when you become such a treasure trove of knowledge, then it it just comes. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Alka Pandey will be talking to us about the Geet Govind and its reflections in visual art. I'm going to request her to now take the stage. Welcome, Alka.
Namaskar, and hello to all of you who have tuned in to celebrating the Geeta Govind. In this post-pandemic world, hopefully the pandemic is behind us, what could be a better way than to celebrate these new beginnings, this new regeneration of life with great gratitude and bhakti. And one of the greatest poems of bhakti was written by the 12th century poet Jayadeva, who himself was soaked in bhakti rasa. This great poem, which celebrates love, longing, desire, separation of the divine couple who epitomize love, both temporal and spiritual love, Radha and Krishna. For me, this is also a time of collaborations, and I'm delighted to have collaborated with my friend, Dr. Arshia Sethi of the Cree Foundation, Ileana Chitarasti of Art Vision, the dancer who is going to be performing the 3 Ashtapadis over a period of the next 3 days. The Geeta Govind had a deep and abiding influence in the north, south, east, and west of the country. The very nature of bhakti, the very nature of this longing of the Atma and the Paramatma has a universal ring to it. And that is why it spread so rapidly in the minds of creative people, be they dancers, musicians, writers, or artists. The Geeta Govind has been celebrated ever since it was written in the 12th century, right up till contemporary times. So therefore, celebrating it through dance, literature, and arts, and philosophy was the best way we thought we would celebrate this wonderful poem. One of the people I would like to also include amongst the many people whose work, many of them are anonymous artists whose works I'm going to show and illustrate the Geeta Govind with, is also Barbara Stoller Miller, who has translated it beautifully. I'm going to now start with certain representations of the Geeta Govind by different artists in different parts of the country. Starting with the 11th song of the 24 songs of the Geeta Govind, and each song consists of 8 couplets, and that is why they're known as the Ashtapadis. I'm going to start with Dheere Samire Yamuna Tire Basati Vana Banamali. This is the 11th song where the lotus-eyed Krishna is longing for love. Now, for me, and this is how I'm going to be talking over the next 3 days as well, I'm also entering the understanding and the assimilation of the artworks through the theory of rasa. And this theory of rasa actually binds all of us, whether it is Ileana, who is celebrating the Geeta Govind through dance, Dr. Panda, who's celebrating it through philosophy and the written word, Arshia, who's moderating it beautifully and stringing all of us together like a Ragamalika. The most or the immersive experience is that of rasa. And this rasa comes from the fifth Veda, the Natya Shastra. The Natya Shastra actually writes deeply or explains deeply the theory of rasa. And through the Navarasas, we see the Geeta Govinda, the different aspects in the different songs of the Geeta Govinda. Now, this is a lovely Patachitra by an artist called Rabindranath Sahu, who has looked at Krishna, the blue god Krishna, and there is total ornamentation. It is beautifully illustrated, and we see that the Patachitra from Orissa, why I chose this as the first one is because Ilyana also followed the Orissan dance style. The Patachitras of Orissa are one of the oldest and one of the most popular art forms practiced both in Orissa and in West Bengal. The name Patachitra itself evolves from the Sanskrit word pata, meaning cloth, and chitra, meaning picture. This art form is believed to have originated almost at the same time as that of the Geet Govind in the 12th century, and is one of the most popular, which is most immediate. And because of its lovely ornamentation, every viewer reacts to it immediately. The next image that I'm going to show you of the, which kind of resonates with the song of Jayadeva, which is Dhira Samire, is that of a Kangra painting. Now, these beautiful Kangra paintings originated in the 17th and 18th century, and they highlight the sensitive depiction. They're very, very sensitive. Compared to the boldness of the Patachitras, you see a very, very delicate kind of lines in this image, and it highlights the awareness of each other. The episodes which have been shown in the Kangra paintings are very, very sublime. There are animals and birds. They are shown beautifully, lovely trees, and there are different registers in these paintings that you see. Now, this is another Patachitra by the same artist, Rabindranath Sahu. And here you see the two gopis together. And here he is, this is the imagination of the artist when he is looking at the woods of the windswept Jamna bank and how Krishna will await in wildflower and garlands. I'm going to be moving back and forth because it's much nicer to look at different styles. And I go back to the Kangra paintings, the beautiful, delicate Kangra paintings where the women are so delicate, and Krishna too is almost looking feminine in these paintings, but the background is very lush and verdant. I now come to a more vibrant style, which is the Rajasthani miniatures. And we know that Rajasthan is more in the west, moving from the north to the west. And we see a more bold style where still there is a finer detailing of brushstrokes, use of bright colors, which attract the attention of every viewer who looks successfully into these paintings. Now, I come to this beautiful Patachitra, which is actually made on a palm leaf. And there is a great minimalism to this. And what you are looking at is the part when it is said that loosen your clothes, untie your belt, open your loins. Radha, your gift of delight is like treasures in a bed of vines. So here you just see how the artist has made this beautiful representation in a more minimal way. And yet you can see the closeness of the divine lovers. This is so beautiful, the night. Look at the way the artist has used the deep black and the highlighting with the haldi yellow, the blue god, the fairness of Radha, the forest grove, and the paintings really look almost ethereal and sublime. Another one of the Kangra painting and the celebration of how Krishna is viewing Radha hidden, where Radha is talking to a Sakhi. So even, the Sakhi is a very, very important part of the Geeta Govind. And always she is a messenger. The messenger becomes very important. And here, look at the lovely Rasa Leela, which is being done. And in this lovely circle, the central figures are that of Radha and Krishna. A Deccani painting. Now, Deccani painting I've also included just to make you also share with all of you that how Geeta Govind travels to the deep south. And in these Deccani paintings, what you see beautifully is a difference of the color palette from the northern manuscripts. This comes largely, there is a greater influence of the Mughal miniatures. The colors are more brilliant, and here you see a more minimal kind of focus on the central figure and the beautiful floral borders, which are very much part of the Deccani school. I shared some images on the first day of the celebration of the Geet Govind. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pandey. It has been a very enlightening experience to see the whole range of aesthetics, color palettes, minimalism or Baroque work. I am just fascinated. I have a lot of questions to ask you, but I would like to use the first question that I can read in the chat, only because it's popped up right here in front of me. I'm sure there may be more. Paushali Chatterjee, the dancer, asks, Radha and Krishna's love is considered platonic. How does the eroticism in Geet Govind align to that thought, especially from a poet of the devotional Vaishnavite religion? So who would like to take it? Dr. Pandey, would you be Dr. Panda, would you be interested in taking this? Or may I invite you, Dr. Pandey, to take this question? It's one of those tricky ones on the Geet Govind. It's been with us for so long. All of us have thought about it, have danced it.
If I can say something which comes to my mind, that was actually in the beginning of the renewal of the dance. All the gurus actually were facing the same questioning: how to, and is it decent to teach the young girl content of this type of when eroticism is there and description of physical beauty is there, and so, but the gurus were so steeped in the Vaishnavis, in the Vaishnava philosophy and religion and dharma, which they, for them, remember Guruji and also Mayadhar Raut, their reply was very spontaneous and very, in a way, also felt and innocent, and it was actually they were not the vulgar part of it was not at all in their mind, and it was not at all admissible in a mind attitude which was looking at the Radha and Krishna as the Atma and Jivatma and Paramatma, or so it was the soul which was aspiring to union with God. So for them it was unquestionable. so this erotism and vulgar possibility was not there. So they took actually bold steps to counteract to all these adverse comments and all these things. And we have to give credit to them that with their faith, profound faith and deep faith in their own religion and their own upbringing, they brought up such an aesthetic work of art, which went beyond the possibility of seeing vulgar or erotism in it, vulgar erotism in it. It is an erotism which is sublimated by this aesthetic creation, which spring from a deep belief which they had. And so this is how their reaction and their reply was, and it is what it has been given to us also by them, by these gurus, when they taught us. Everything was transformed by this belief in the spirituality and the sublimation of the erotic mood into something aesthetic, religious, according to whatever we want to see in it, but certainly not vulgar.
In my long years of writing, sorry. आप बोलिए, sir.
Thank you very much, Ileana. I may take 1 minute for your nice answer, and that has been explained by your gurus regarding the eroticity of Jayadeva's Geeta Govinda. I will add one point. It is a kavya. It is not a book on ethics to be taught in class of philosophy. So in a kavya, the poet is allowed to take up the sentiments. Particularly, the definition of kavya says that eka eva bhavet angi srungara bira eva ba. In a kavya, Srungara or Bira, Srungara means erotics, Bira or heroic, they can be the principal sentiments. Therefore, when a poet is composing a kavya, he is at liberty to do that. Besides, if somebody looks it as a work of a religious value, then I can say, you visit a temple. Temples like Khajuraho of Konarka and the Puri temple, everywhere you see there are erotic figures also carved on the body of the temples. Because in our country, this erotic education or sex education is not taken up. People learn it from the society. People assemble at the temples. People assemble at the entertainment programs. They are in a veiled manner. This education, these systems are also presented. The Menaka and Vishwamitra image in the Konarka temple is very famous. And the pair of lovers of the Konarka temple has also been displayed in many art journals and catalogs. Similarly, in answer to Pausali's question, I will say, first, it is a matter of aesthetics or a kavya, because poetry happens to be a principal expression of art. There are 64 art forms, and poetry and music comes at the outset. Geetang, Nrutyang, Chabadyang, Chatrayang, Sangitam Uchyate. These are all very parts and parcel of the art forms. Therefore, kavya also comes, song also comes within it. So, Madam Pausali will be happy that these are allowed in the tradition of India, that in the temple body or in the kavya medium that can be expressed. You might be remembering when Kalidasa wrote the erotic expressions of Shiva and Parvati after their marriage, he was ridiculed. But Kalidasa is Kalidasa. Kavaya Kalidasadya. Pura Kavinangadana Prasange Kanishtika Adhishtita Kalidasa. When you chant a single name of a poet famous in the world, the name of Kalidas comes. People say Kalidas is Shakespeare of England, but it should be told Shakespeare is Kalidas of England. Because Kalidas is not Shakespeare of India. Shakespeare is a latter poet. Kalidas is earlier poet. So Kalidas also wrote similarly. He has also written Rutu Sanghara. So in many cases, in paintings also, you see in Odishan paintings, in Pattachitras, the bosoms of women are so much exclusive that it crosses over the clothes. So that is the tradition. Thank you. The question set up Pausali Chatterjee and the answer by Eliana. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Panda, for augmenting Ileana's explanation. In the years that I have spent writing on dance, sorry, Alka, were you saying something?
I just wanted to add just a little bit, Arshia, to the whole thing. I just wanted to say that the aesthetics of the erotic plays a very, very important role in Indian art, thought, literature, and philosophy. As both my esteemed colleagues have also spoken about it, whether it is Kavya, whether it's imagination. But if you go back to either the Natya Shastra, where the rasa of Shringar includes in it vilas, which is pleasure, also includes vatsalya, different layered nuances of Shringar and the different forms of love which are present. And physical love is an important part, including in the Kama Sutra, where it is said, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. All these have to be in a judicious balance for a life well lived. So I think the aesthetics of the erotic, whether it is in bhakti ras, whether it is in poetry, or whether it is in the artistic imagination of artists, be they plastic or performing arts, the aesthetics of the erotic plays a very, very important role.
So then I'm compelled to ask you a supplementary question here. In which case, this reform and revival that happened in Indian classical dance at a key point in our nation's history, especially its cultural history, then is not now so relevant. I mean, you know, we were busy sanitizing the artistic work of the Devadasis and the Maharis and the Tawaips at that time. And we made very strong steps, some rather unkind ones as well. But if we had followed this philosophy, we needn't have done it at that time. Is that what you would say?
I agree with you, Arsha. I think it had something also to do with modernism, with the coming in of British prudery, with this whole thing. Because uh, if you look at our traditional Indian culture, we are soaked, absolutely soaked in celebrating every aspect of life, whether it is a spiritual life or the a life of what you call a pleasure seeking life. But the point is that uh, the Shiva is also known as the yogi and the bhogi. So both yoga and bhog go hand in hand. Also, the thing is that I think the sanitization started later with the advent of modernism and the rational or the coming in of bad translations of the Victorian prudery when Richard Burton started translating the Kama Sutra. They got really agitated with our absolute celebration of the body, of emotions, which we are very comfortable with. And I think we do have to take responsibility for the fact that sanitization is not always the right way for a civil society.
Interesting that you should say the Kama Sutra shocked the living daylights of the the prudists. You have written about the Kama Sutra, so I take this as a very valid and strong point. But yet, I must say that it was the initial translation of William Jones in 1792 that made us even become aware of the brilliance of this poem, because we had sort of lost touch with it. The last Indian commentary, I think, is a 17th century commentary on the Geet Govinda, and then there is silence for a while till these translations begin. And thanks to that Jones's translation, that finally Goethe gets to read, and we rediscover our own brilliance in this poem. Anyway, I think over the next 3 days, since I don't see any other question right now, but I do see a remark that says that thank you very much, for this interesting event, which it really is, this beautiful multi-arts immersion into the Geet Govind, a poem that has captured Indian imagination now for almost 1,000 years and continues to do that. Maybe tomorrow we can talk about some contemporary expressions of the Geet Govind, both in poetry, in visual arts, and in dance as well, as part of our conversations afterwards. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And I thank all our speakers, all three of them, Dr. Ileana Chitoristi, Professor Dr. Raghunath Panda, and Dr. Alka Pandey for sharing their insights, knowledge. It's been a delight for me to even prepare myself to enjoy this immersion. So thanks a lot. It's a rare opportunity. And I do hope more and more dancers and visual artists and writers on cultural affairs will join us in the coming days. Tomorrow we meet again at 7 o'clock. You should have had a Zoom for tomorrow as well. If you have registered, which I'm sure you have, you will have a link that will say for tomorrow. Okay. Look forward to seeing you all at 7 p.m. Thanks.